or where your reader is at in their buying cycle. So you have a lot of options for segmentation, and this is one that most everyone I know has to play with a little bit. The safest one is to segment by interest, and I bring up PBS. If you're a PBS subscriber, you might be subscribing because they have really great children's programming, or you might be subscribing because you're addicted to Downton Abbey, or you might be prescribing because you're addicted to public affairs. They have a really great news, and they've got Bill Moyers. Those are three distinct interests, and so maybe a young mother doesn't want to hear an appeal about Bill Moyers, or doesn't want to hear an appeal about Downton Abbey, when really what they care about is children's programming. So interest is always an important and a safe segmentation. And then I would say the second is probably behavior. The third, and I'll change this slide before I save it for you, the third is where your reader is at in their buying or their donating cycle. You're going to have a different conversation with somebody that's just come into you as a new lead than you are with somebody who's making another donation or having a year-end donation or is a return customer. So this number 9 is email revenue is all about getting someone's attention and placing a relevant offer in front of them. That's sort of what the first 8 of our tips have been. And this one is special. Number 10 is special for nonprofits. I always coach nonprofits on your gut check questions before you're ready to hit send. One, and by the way, this is not bad advice for a for-profit, but it's more relevant for our nonprofit participants on today's webinar. One, is this a story or communication I would actually talk about outside of this communication? Would you bring this up to friends over having a cup of coffee or a beer? Is this something you would tell your sister about? Is this an email about how great my donor is or about how great my organization is? And if it's about how great my organization is, you need to go back and rewrite it. Because what happens is all great email is about me, me, me. It's about the reader. And so if the reader doesn't see themselves in it, they're not going to continue reading. Is there a role for your donor in the communication? And I'm going to show you a couple of examples of how an organization made sure that the donor knew exactly what their role was and how important it was to the mission. And I love this one. And on the commercial side, it's, what if then? With this one, it's what would happen if your donor disappeared? And does your copy need to, I don't always advocate a negative tone, but is your copy strong enough that it's really clear what would happen if all your donors disappeared?